Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I'm a reporter, as you can see by my new official press card. I write for the Bronx Post, which is on here, and the Parkchester Times. Both like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and have a Facebook page at www.100%.blogspot.com. Or rather, pardon me, that's a blog, along with Facebook pages 100% and what is going on in your community board. The views expressed on the show are those of the host, any guest, or anyone who is commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily those of Parrot Media Corporation. A quick look at the weather: 40 today, 44 tomorrow on Saturday, 36 on Sunday, snow coming at night. Monday, the temperature stays below freezing during the day at 25, and will stay below freezing for a few more days after that. Now, a breaking story right now, as you can see on my phone, there is a bus that is hanging over the side of a wall. This is a Manhattan number 1 express bus in Riverdale, which crashed through a guardrail and is on, or it was hanging partially over the Cape Park Street underpass, as you saw. And many people thought it was hanging over the highway, the Henry Hudson Parkway, but it wasn't. It was the underpass of the highway, which is Cape Park Street. The bus goes down, turns around, comes under the highway, then goes down the hill to West 231st Street and the rest of the Bronx. Now, on to some other news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said negotiations have reached an agreement on a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip that would free Israeli hostages and U.S. hostages, ending 2 days of debate that have underscored the pact's fragility. Hours after the announcement from Netanyahu, who accused Hamas of reneging on parts of the agreement originally announced Wednesday, Israeli Security Cabinet approved the multi-phase deal. The full cabinet is expected to convene later today to vote on it. Now, phase 1, which would start Sunday, according to the mediator, which is Qatar, the country Qatar, the first point is a 6-week halt to the fighting would begin opening negotiations on ending the war. 33 of the nearly 100 hostages would be released over that period, although it's unclear if more than half are alive. The United States says this phase also includes a withdrawal of Israeli forces from densely populated areas of Gaza. That would allow many displaced Palestinians to return to their homes or what's left of them. Many neighborhoods in the Gaza Strip have been reduced to rubble. Humanitarian aid assistance would surge, with hundreds of trucks entering Gaza each day. Final details that are still being worked out include the list of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners to be freed. Phase 2 is a little harder, and here are some more details. Negotiations for this phase are to begin on day 16 of the ceasefire. This phase would include the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers. Israeli forces would withdraw completely from Gaza Strip. However, Israel has said that it will not agree to a complete withdrawal until Hamas military and political capabilities are eliminated. Hamas says it will not hand over the last hostages until Israel removes all of its troops. Phase 3 calls for the return of the remaining bodies of hostages still in Gaza and the start of a major reconstruction of Gaza, which faces decades of rebuilding. It's also unclear who will foot the bill. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said early on Thursday that Hamas has backtracked on early understandings in the ceasefire agreement. The statement could indicate that obstacles remaining to the implementing of the deal. Under the three-phase deal, Hamas would release dozens of hostages in exchange for Israeli releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. It would also allow hundreds of thousands of people, like I said, displaced in Gaza to return to what remains of their homes. Netanyahu has said that Hamas was objecting to part of the agreement that gave Israel the ability to veto the release of certain Palestinian prisoners. Hamas was trying to dictate which Palestinian prisoners they wanted to be released, Netanyahu said. He said he told Israeli negotiators to stand firm on their early agreement. Hamas has not immediately responded to Netanyahu's response. As far as President Joe Biden goes, he has, who leaves office next week, he announced today that he was commuting the sentences of nearly 2,500 people convicted of nonviolent drug offenses, saying that he has now issued more individual pardons and commutations than any predecessor. Those benefiting from today's action are serving disproportionately long sentences compared to the sentences they would be given today under current law, policy, and practice, Biden said in the statement. Now, meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump said he's on board for scrapping congestion pricing and lifting the cap on state and local tax deductions. In a Saturday meeting with Republican members in New York's House delegation at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, the incoming commander-in-chief agreed he would try to help nix the city's first nation congestion price tax. He wants to kill it, said Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis of Staten Island. He did agree it's got to go, Congressman Mike Lawler said after leaving the meeting. So we're going to work through how this administration can do it, he said. He's fully on board with lifting the SALT cap, also, Lawler said. He said that he understands the plight of New Yorkers who are being abused by a mayor and governor who treat them like ATMs and want to provide SALT relief, Maliotakis added. And that President Trump right now is meeting with Mayor Eric Adams. Well, pardon me on that one. I'm sorry about that. The U.S. is sending another $500 million in military aid to the Ukraine in the last week of President Biden's administration, and with future money far from guaranteed under Trump. The latest amount will tap, the latest Treasury will tap all the money Congress has appropriated for the Ukraine. This package will include missiles, munitions, and more Russian sanctions, and also likely coming soon as Biden officials try to put Kyiv in the best position before they exit. Though Biden has to scrap a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky because he canceled his European trip to oversee the California fire recovery efforts. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, the first sitting president to be detained, surrendered himself for questioning Wednesday after a week-long standoff that resulted in a dramatic pre-dawn raid on the official president's residence, the Washington Post reports. Now, the Times says a divided House approved legislation that aims to bar transgender women and girls from participating in school athletic programs designed for female students. Now, Damian Williams, the former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, says that Albany is wired for insiders with predictable results, that the problem affecting most New Yorkers are either disproportionalized or the responses so diluted by special interests that very little changes. He is an outgoing U.S. attorney who has prosecuted a lot of elected officials for wrongdoing, but he is no longer. President Donald Trump will put in a new U.S. attorney here for the Eastern Coast. State Assemblywoman Amanda Septimo has filed with the Federal Election Commission on January 8th to run for the 15th Congressional District. Septimo for New York is the name of the campaign committee with a federal ID number on it. Oh, one more final thing before we leave this part of the show. Richie Torres has not blocked me on X like he has blocked many others. And on to the State of the State speech by Governor Hochul. Her 2025 State of the State speech is making New York more affordable by cutting taxes for more than 8.3 million middle-class New Yorkers, sending inflation refund checks and expanding child tax credits. She wants to update involuntary commitment law and strengthen Kendra's law to ensure New Yorkers with severe mental illness are connected with the care that they need. She wants to prioritize subway safety, which I'll get into a little later, partnering with NYPD for a better presence on the platforms and trains. She wants to strengthen the state's response capabilities to fight transnational criminal networks operating along the northern border, supporting New York kids by launching Unplug and Play to help get them off their phones to stay active, which I believe the governor is going to have a cell phone ban in schools. She wants to build the workforce of tomorrow to transform proposals to put money in New Yorkers' pockets, make New York more affordable, make our streets safer and subways safer. To see more on this, you can go to my blog at www.100percentbronx.blogspot.com. That's 100%.blogspot.com. Look on the left side archive, week of 112 to 119 under the heading Governor Hochul State of the State 25. What's this? Kenny Burgess has you blocked, AJ. I'm sure a lot of people have you blocked. Now, Mayor Adams has made this announcement on Governor Hochul's State of the State address. Her address shows her commitment to making New York a safer, more affordable city for working class families. Her top priority is public safety. She understands what we need to tackle most street homelessness in our 5 boroughs. And one of the key places by getting that done is addressing the epidemic of severe mental illness we are facing on the streets and our subways. We also appreciate the governor's willingness to commit state resources to putting more officers on a transit system. Finally, the governor has laid out a slate of promising affordability measures at a moment when our state faces a historic affordability crisis. As the legislation session begins, our administration is once again looking forward to working with Governor Hochul, Senate Majority Leader Stuart Cousins, Assembly Speaker Hasty, and all our partners in Albany to make our city safer, more affordable, and the best place to raise a family. Now, let's go a little into Hochul's subway plan. Police officers would be aboard every overnight train in New York City for the next 6 months under a new subway plan Governor Hochul unveiled on Tuesday during her 2025 State of the State address. She wants to surge law enforcement on the subways from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., and she wants to start this Monday. Major crime in the city was down 3% last year compared to 2023. That is reported crime, though. According to the NYPD, in the subway system, it was down 5%. Again, that is reported crime. How much crime goes unreported is not known. But several horrific crimes in the subways have dominated headlines in the recent weeks, such as when a man allegedly lit a woman who on fire and killed her in an F train in Brooklyn last month. In a statement, NYPD Commissioner Justice Tisch said Hochul's plan will allow for 2 officers to ride each overnight train, but said more needs to be done to deal with the ongoing issue of repeat offenders who committed disproportionate number of crimes on subways, which she called the root of the issue. We must stop the revolving door of our criminal justice system that allows too many violent and repeat criminals back on our streets, Tisch added. Now, there are 150 trains that run between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. That means 300 police officers at a cost of a total of $154 million for the 6 months that she wants. However, the police union says we may not have enough police officers that will be able to ride those trains at night. Hochul's plan also drew criticism from one of her potential political opponents as well. Bronx Congressman Richie Torres, a Democrat considering a primary challenge against Hochul next year, noted that the woman was killed on the subway in the morning. Governor Kathy Hochul will only pay for overnight police presence on every train. What about the daytime, he says. Now, it appears that former Governor Andrew Cuomo may be looking for a run at the city mayorship. There are polls that are saying that he is the leading candidate over all the others. And Governor Kathy Hochul is pledging to work with a future Andrew Cuomo administration if his speculated run for mayor proves successful. My nature is to work with whoever is sitting in office, whether it's the president or any governors or mayors, she said, when asked about Cuomo's speculation run for mayor. She made the comments on the heel of a new Politico report that signals Cuomo is continuing to line up support for his run for mayor and is expected to hire Charlie King, a partner at the Manhattan-based consultant lobbying firm Mercury Public Affairs. Now, I'm going to take a break here. When I come back, I'll have more local news, including the horrific fire on Wallace Avenue. I'll have the results of some of those polls and other news when I come back. So let's go to a commercial.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our news site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Welcome back. Now, there was a horrific fire at 2910 Wallace Avenue, and the top two floors of his sixth-floor building were burned out. The new online newspaper, the city reports, landlord Ved Parkash, owner of 2910 Wallace Avenue, a now burned out 98-unit building in the Allerton neighborhood of the Bronx, fought the city's housing agency in court last year in an unsuccessful bid to exit a city program that requires monitoring for landlords with chronic heat complaints. The apartment building, along with 9 other owners by him, is one of 50 currently assigned to the Department of Housing Preservation and Development Heat Census Program, which requires landlords with most violations and complaints to put monitors in each apartment that automatically sends the temperature data to the HPD. Now, the fire department still hasn't declared the official cause of the fire. It is believed to be either a space heater or a open stove. On Monday, January 20th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there will be a community relief drive to support the victims of the fire of the 2910 Wallace Avenue at 738 Allerton Avenue, which is a empty store next to CVS. Items needed are new clothing and shoes, cold weather accessories, toiletries and hygiene products, baby formula, diapers and infant items, water, dry food, non-perishables, cleaning and sanitary products. Again, that is Monday, January 20th. I know it's Martin Luther King Day, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 738 Allerton Avenue. I believe it's an empty Metro PCS store next to CVS. The mayor has released his FY26 fiscal year 26 budget. The city runs a fiscal year from July 1st through June 30th, and he is releasing next year's fiscal budget, which will take place on July 1st. Unlike previous years, this budget is not going to call for drastic cuts to pay for migrant services. The budget, though, will go to the council for any changes that the city council may want, and then back to the mayor and strong fiscal management, and robust economic growth. The FY26 preliminary budget, is at $114.5 billion. It has gaps of $4.2 billion for fiscal year 27, $5.4 billion in 28, $5.1 billion in 29, which means that what we're doing now, we're going to have to pay for later. Protecting capital programs and funding mandated costs in the current fiscal year, helping more families find homes in the 5 boroughs by turning New York into a city of yes for families, according to Mayor Adams. FY26 investment highlights are keeping New Yorkers safe, making New York City more affordable, investing in education for New York City children, improving quality of life, promoting economic development, investing in the city's largest ever 10-year capital plan. Again, for more details on the city's FY26 budget, go to my blog at www.100%.blogspot. Look on the archive on the left, week of 112 to 119, under the title of Mayor Adams Releases Fiscal Year 26 Preliminary Budget. Now, in that poll that I mentioned before, here's what happens. If Andrew Cuomo was to enter the race, the poll found, a third-party poll found, and it's a progressive poll, believe it or not, that Andrew Cuomo would get 32% among likely Democratic voters when they were asked to choose a favorite candidate that would be in ranked choice election. Next was former city controller Scott Stringer at 10%, current controller Brad Lander at 8%, state senator Jessica Ramos at 7%, and Mayor Adams and state assembly member Zoran Marandi at 6%. Now, here's an interesting note, because former Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., who said he does not plan to run for mayor, was tied with State Senator Ramos at 7%. Candidate Michael Blake came in at 2%, and State Senator Zelnor Myrie at 1%, with 18% saying they were unsure who to choose and 3% selecting someone else. The poll was conducted between December 16th and December 22nd, 2024, and it's partly driven by name recognition, and the primary is this year, June 24th. The survey was obtained by Politico, which was commissioned by Progressives for Democracy in America. We commissioned the poll to see which candidates might be competitive with Cuomo, given his huge name recognition advantage. Executive Director Alan Minsky said. Minsky's group hired Washington-based Hart Research for this to conduct a survey of 800 likely Democratic votes. In a response to the survey, Mayor Adams pollster Ben Tucklin says any polling is very premature. Voters' real feelings won't be clear until they've had a chance to be reminded of what Mayor Adams has accomplished, including reducing crime, where my opponents have failed. Now, as far as the police overtime matter, a new report by the NYPD provides a rare 3-month snapshot of police overtime published by the department. It is broken down by rank and command, giving a more granular picture of overtime than what is typically available to the public. The overtime control systems that were in place in the last couple of years seem to have fallen apart. Former Police Commissioner Bill Bratton said the new data shows that the NYPD spent over $230 million in overtime between April and June of 2024, a third of which went towards supplemental patrols. That includes extending an officer's shift because of emergency, or adding extra shifts to address crime spikes, or assign officers to the subways, according to the report in a statement to the online newspaper Gothamist. The NYPD said its commissioner was implementing new protocols to rein in overtime spending. Mayor Adams has attributed high levels of overtime spending to the number of protests over last year in the 3-month window covered by the newly released report. Protests and demonstrators accounted for 15% of the overtime. The NYPD's Warrant Squad, which has 1% of the department's officers, also accounted for about 10% of the overtime. And in Brooklyn's 75th precinct, there was $1.4 million of overtime spending over the same time from 2023. In September of last year, Mayor Adams issued an executive order that gave oversight to City Hall, requiring that city agencies submit spending plans, provide detailed reports, and have regular meetings with the first deputy mayor, the deputy mayor for public safety, and the administration's budget office. If President Trump moves into the moves to undo congestion pricing. Don't expect Mayor Adams to lead the fight to protect it. Over the weekend, Trump met with several Republican members of Congress, as I said, and they are committed to ending congestion pricing. Asked about the possibility on Monday whether he would support it, Adams suggested if Trump is able to scrap the program, there's not a whole lot that the mayor can do. As far as congestion pricing, Upper Manhattan neighborhoods are already turning into glorified parking lots only days after the MTA and Governor Hochul flipped the switch on congestion pricing, with the bridge and tunnel commuters increasingly dishing their cars uptown to skirt the $9 toll. Across Washington Heights, locals bemoaned that their already scarce curbside parking spaces have further vanished in recent days, with many now burning hours to try and track down a precious spot. Over the past year, residents in the neighborhood outside the 60th Street congestion zone have repeatedly warned that their communities would be plagued with hellish gridlock and increased pollution from meandering motorists from New Jersey. As far as congestion pricing goes, though, Mayor Adams, Controller Landa, New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams are among the New Yorkers who, with their security details, are able to pass toll-free in and out of Manhattan's congestion pricing. A.R. Bernard, a prominent Brooklyn pastor appointed to the New York City Mayor Eric Adams Charter Revision Commission, resigned from that panel after questions about whether he was legally able to serve on it. The New York City Police Department will stop initiating dangerous and often high-speed pursuits of suspects fleeing nonviolent crimes and traffic infractions under a newly created policy by Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch. Now, a poll conducted for mayoral candidate Scott Stringer shows that Cuomo would be the clear frontrunner to win the June primary, Democratic primary, if he enters the race, garnering support from 33% of the Democratic voters in that poll. Stringer, the former controller, is second with 13%, followed by the incumbent mayor at 11%, Queens State Senator Jessica Ramos at 7%, and current city controller Brad Lander with 6%. It is the second poll released in 3 days showing Cuomo with a significant lead over the field. The Stringer campaign declined to comment on the poll, but did not dispute the findings. Now, New York City law mandates the closing of Rikers Island by August 31st, 2027, yet the Adams administration has failed to schedule the opening of needed replacement jails in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens until 2031, and still has not finalized the contract for the building the fourth jail slated for Manhattan. Beyond the city's delinquent construction timeline, Rikers can't be closed without reducing the number of people the city jails house on any given day. Back on April 29th, 2020, the city's daily population plummeted to a historic low of 3,809 inmates. Among a humane efforts to release incarcerated people from the dangers of COVID-19. Since then, the population has swelled by more than 70% to just over 6,600 today. A jail problem this high can't fit into the planned replacement jails, whose citywide capacity is at 3,300 in a 2019 agreement, although Mayor Eric Adams increased the capacity to 3,900 and will add over 300 beds in city hospitals for medically related prisoners who cannot be in these new jails because there won't be any spots for them. And I am going to have two items that I'm going to finish with: Bridges to Home and then some of the city council races. New York is launching a new program called Bridge to Home that aims to provide extended service and supervision to homeless New Yorkers being discharged from psychiatric stays at the city public hospitals, the Adams administration announced on Wednesday. This program, which Mayor Eric Adams and other officials unveiled at Bellevue Hospital, will start with a single 100-bed facility where residents can stay for up to a year while receiving ongoing care and help finding treatment, housing, and permanent housing, I should say. The officials say they are looking for a location and an operator facility, which is also slated to become fully operational sometime between mid-2026 and mid-2027. Adams said the new facility will provide safe space for New Yorkers with mental illness to live, to heal, to be cared for, so they can get life-changing help they need. The facility staff will include a range of professionals, including nurses, social workers, and creative arts therapists. Dr. Mitchell Katz, the president and CEO of the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, said he's been begging for a new program like Bridges to Home for decades so people don't lose the progress they made in the hospital immediately upon discharge. The city is budgeting $13 million a year for the program. New York City Health and Hospitals is the largest provider of psychiatric services and admitted 11,000 individuals for psychiatric inpatient stays in 2023, according to a spokesperson for the NYCHHC. The system said about 6% of its patients overall are homeless, although that figure may be higher according to psychiatric patients. When asked about Bridges to Home capacity, Adams said it could always be expanded. No one's looking to help. That help should not. No one that's looking for that help should not have a bed they can go to. I'm going to end. We have city council races coming up this year. Petitioning begins the end of February, which is next month, within about 40 days, and runs through the beginning of April. And we have the return of the king, Andy King, who was expelled from the city council in 2020, but never tried, is trying to get his old seat back in the Northwest Bronx. King has filed on Wednesday to challenge city council member Kevin Riley's re-election. King tried to run in 23, but was knocked off the ballot in a court case that stated he had served an equivalent of 2 full terms and had to wait a full 4-year term before running for re-election. I hope to have Councilman King on the show, as I have before, and I hope he is watching right now. And thank you for all of you to watch, because I'm going to end the show right now on that note, and I will be talking to other challenges. For now, the only candidate left, or 2 candidates left, city council members in the Bronx that don't have challenges in a Democratic primary are in the 15th Council District, Oswald Felice, and in the 18th Council District, Amanda Farias. All the other districts have primary challengers, and I am sure, according to what Mr. Patrick McManus, the chair of the Conservative Party, said in the general election, all city council members will have at least one opponent. So I'm going to end it there, and hopefully we'll have some of these city council candidates come on the show, and I will see you next week, and thank you for watching.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV.